Ladies and gentlemen, today, in our judicial system, there are many things that come about that we have to really say, okay, that sounds good, that doesn't sound too good. Anyway, so we come today that if you're a crime, if you're a criminal, that is, that and you commit a crime, you expect to get punishment, some type of a punishment that is due to you because this is the law, and the law should be upheld at all times. But it doesn't seem to be that way. But that's not. We're not going to get into that one today. But we want to bring you a little situation, whereas how this thing work, even through scripture. That is okay. And we never thought about this sometimes, and sometimes we do, and sometimes we think about it, but then it goes the other way. So anyway, a person that commits a crime, they read them their rights. Okay, you have a right to remain silent, a right for a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, one would be asked to you by the court. Good, no problem, no, no problem at all, right? But sometimes a person would say, "I have my own lawyer, or either I can defend myself," and it's permissible in some cases. So now we're talking about a specific case that is that deals back in a situation whereas a woman was caught into adultery. Now, adultery is breaking of the law. It's a crime, and it has always been a crime. Thou shalt not commit adultery. All right, that's one of the Ten Commandments. That is, and it's held fast. So then we look around and say that well, all punishment, all crime, is called a thing called sin. All wrongdoing is sin, and the punishment of a crime is death. No matter what crime it is, the punishment of sin, period, is death, no matter what. So we're talking about how, never mind what you did, if it was wrong, unlawful, unrighteous, disobedient, it was still considered a crime. It is considered a sin, and that sin punishment is death. So now we take this woman that was caught into adultery. What happened? The authorities brought her before a tribune, which is a court system, right? Even though the court system was in a plain building court, but what happened is that okay, there were the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, whatever, right? And they broken them into different categories of authority. So, for instance, in our life, there was a prosecutor, which is the high priest, prosecutor. Prosecutor said that this woman was caught into adultery. She should be executed. She should be put to death, taken a life from her, because this is the law. And the law says that we should do these things to her. So what happened is that who brought her to him? Who brought her to the prosecutor, which is the Pharisee, right? With the prosecutor, there was the law enforcement, which is now our policemen, our agents, and those people who are detectives and all this stuff that the FBI, CIA, and all of them that goes and study the crime and then bring for evidence and all that stuff in order to present it to the court. So what happened is now they bring her to the court, which is before the judge. Now the judge is the Almighty. The judge is the one that has presented to the world. This is what it is. This is written. That's the judge. And this is the law that now says that we're going to have a system of law, and that law is to be into effect until a certain time. But that time has not yet come, though the law was still in effect. But just so happened, ah, there was a son, the defense attorney, which is now we'll say was Jesus the Christ, the Son of God, the Son of the Almighty Judge, the Son of the Almighty that brought forth the law. Now, Jesus talked to the people, and they say that well, she was caught into adultery, she should be stoned to death. So Jesus didn't say anything. He was looking at his situation, looking at the place and everything. He writing something on the ground, no matter who was writing. But the point of it is that as a good defense attorney, he's compiling the evidence. He's compiling the situation. He is now strategizing what to do, what's going to be right or wrong. Because see, this defense attorney is always on the good side. He's always in a place where he's not going to let anything slip through his fingers or slip through his mind and everything, right? So now he is also looking at the heart of the woman. Irregardless of what happened while she was in that room or wherever she was do doing the dirt, the crime that she was committing, he was still looking at down the road. He was still looking at her heart. And where is her heart? Where's her conscience? Where's her situation? How you call it? Her attitude towards life, her attitude towards anything and everything, right? She don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. Nobody really wants to go to the lecture chair, the gas chamber, or wherever, the flying squad, or however, wherever. So she's being quiet, but yet and still, who knows, was she there crying in her spirit, crying in her heart? Wow, I've been busted. I don't want to go this way. I didn't intend to do it. It things happen. See, the defense attorney look at the evidence, look at the why of the crime. A good defense attorney will ask you what happened. Where did you go wrong? What was your intention? That is, and that he can present it to the court and then make a defense against whatever the court was trying to say, because the court was just said blank, period. She deserved death. And we're going to kill her. We're going to stone her to death. But Jesus said, wait a minute, hold back up, back up. If any of you without sin cast the first stone, any of you. So now from the least to the greatest, started moving away. Because guess what? We're all guilty. At that time, we're all guilty of that some type of wrongdoing. We're all guilty at that time of doing something we have no business doing. But now Jesus didn't being smart, Jesus being the wise one and sent from the Father, he made a presentation to the woman. Where are your accusers? She said, there are none, because they gone. They left. In other words, they deferred the charges. They didn't not defer the charges, but anyway, they didn't really pursue the charges, that is, right? But Jesus still knew that the punishment of what she had done is death. But then he said, okay, he got a word from the judge. Okay, that you know that there was a crime. They know that should be a punishment for the crime. But based on what the evidence was presented to him, the cure of the person that did the crime, Jesus exonerated the punishment of death. He deferred it. You don't have to you don't have to die. So Jesus said, I don't condemn you either. You know what I mean? So that's good. So what we have today is that so many times we do something, we know we're guilty of it, but what do we do? Because the law says that certain sins, that was about 360 points of the law and even more, that is, right? And each one of those points of the law has a different type of punishment. But the main punishment that we're talking about, if you break the commandment, if you break a commandment at that time of fornication, at that time of adultery, it was death, period. There was something like if you steal from someone, they would cut your hand off. Sometimes one of them, the laws were doing that, doing this and that, the other. If you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. Make the Sabbath and all these different things that come about. There was a different punishment for that. But the punishment of adultery is death. All right. So now, all right. So now we come to the point where are we going to stick with